Good morning and welcome to our thought for the day for Monday the 6th of April. Our passage this morning is taken from the Gospel of St. Luke. It begins at chapter 22 verse 1 and goes on to verse 23, but I'm going to start reading from the second half of verse 13, which says this: "So they, the disciples, prepared the Passover. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table, and he said to them, 'I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God.' After taking the cup, he gave thanks and said, 'Take this and divide it among you. For I tell you, I will not drink again of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes.' And he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, 'This is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.' In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, 'This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you. But the hand of him who is going to betray me is with mine on the table. The Son of Man will go as it has been decreed, but woe to that man who betrays him.' And so they began to question among themselves which of them it might be who would do this." So on the Monday of Holy Week, here we are already looking at these final events in Jesus' life and ministry before his crucifixion and resurrection. And of course, the Passover that Jesus was celebrating with his disciples would, in the Jewish calendar, of course, have been a feast of great celebration. Why? Well, because it signified God's people being set free from slavery, the angel of death passing over the household of the people of God, and the people of God being set free in order to make their way to the promised land. So to a Jew, of course, Passover is a great family feast where young and old eat and have fun together and remember as a family and as a race what God has done for them. Jesus would undoubtedly have celebrated Passovers before with his disciples in the years leading up to this particular Passover. We don't know that for sure, it's not actually written, but his disciples would have followed him pretty much wherever. It might be that they all dispersed during Passover and went to their own family homes, but I suspect that actually they would have probably been with Jesus. And something that I'm interested by in this passage for today, and I want us to think about, is why Jesus says, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer." I've eagerly desired. Well, I think it's because Jesus knows that the cross is literally just around the corner for him, and he knows that his work is almost complete. Very soon, Jesus will be able to say, "It is finished." The work is done. I don't know if you've ever had a very difficult or long project to undertake. But there is an extraordinary kind of sense of satisfaction when you can say, "It is done, it's finished, it's complete," when you know every little thing associated with that project has been finished and done. Well, Jesus' project, his mission, was of course the giving over of his life, and having lived a perfect life, having never given in to temptation, he's getting to the finale, the climax of his life on earth, which is, of course, in his crucifixion. And he is looking forward to that moment where he can say, "It is done, it's finished." And he's appropriating the whole symbolic kind of weight of the Passover meal, therefore, to himself. "I've eagerly desired to have this meal with you before I suffer, because actually in me this is going to be a true Passover. You really are going to be freed, not simply just from the Egyptians, going to a physical promised land, but actually you're going to be freed from the slavery of sin, from the jaws of death itself, in order that you might not only go to the promised land, but the promised land, i.e. heaven, will actually come to earth. This is what the kingdom of God is. The kingdom of God is the rule of God in heaven, coming to earth, coming to you. And so Jesus is eager. And it's interesting, later on in the New Testament we get this same phrase about being eager, and we come across it in Romans, where all of creation is eager for the end of all things, for Jesus to return, for his glory to be shown, and for all things to be made well, for the final ravages of sin to be done away with. He's eager. Now you'll notice that in the midst of Jesus' words, of course, this Last Supper, he's going to be betrayed. He hasn't yet totally achieved what he wants to, and the kingdom of God is certainly not fully established. And yet even then, he's excited in the most sort of sorrowful point, this most terrible point in his life. Even there, he is full of hope. So may you be full of hope, just as Jesus was. May you eagerly desire God's coming into his creation in all his fullness, in order that all might be made good, that everything that's been unanswered may finally reach its resolution, its completion, its fulfillment. May you be eager for his presence in your life today. Amen.